Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 5, Frustration of the Sacrifice of Dakṣa. So this chapter is divided into 4 parts. Text 1 to 5, Lord Shiva creates Vīrabhadra and orders him to destroy Dakṣa Yajña. So this is first section. Second section is text 6 to 13. Vīrabhadra and his associates, they raise the dust storm and reach the arena, and they are empowered by Lord Shiva, and they are going to go there for destruction. Then text 14 to 18, third section, destruction of Dakṣa's sacrifice by Lord Shiva's followers. And final section 19 to 26, activities of Vīrabhadra. So Vīrabhadra is extremely empowered by Lord Shiva's potency, especially for destruction. So he tears off Bhrugu's mustache, plucks out Bhrugu's eyes, because Bhrugu is the personality who has created Rubus, and Rubus are the demigods who have driven out the followers of Lord Shiva. And he knocks out Pusha's teeth and finally beheads Dakṣa. So this is the complete destruction of the sacrifice of Dakṣa. So we continue with the first section, that is text 1 to 5. Text 1. Maitreya uvacha भवो भवान्या निधनं प्रजापतेर् रसकृताया अवगम्य नारदात् स्वपार्षदसैन्यं च तदध्वरर्भूमिर् विद्रावितं क्रोधमपारमादधे.
Maitreya said, when Lord Shiva heard from Narada that Satī, his wife, was now dead because of Prajapati Daksha's insult to her, and that his soldiers had been driven away by the Rubu demigods, he became greatly angry. Purport: Lord Shiva understood that Sati, being the youngest daughter of Daksha, could present the case of Lord Shiva's purity of purpose and would thus be able to mitigate the misunderstanding between Daksha and himself. But such a compromise was not attained, and Sati was deliberately insulted by her father by not being received properly when she visited his house without being invited. Sati herself could have killed her father, Daksha, because she is the personified material energy and has immense power to kill and create within this material universe. In the Brahma Samhita, her strength is described. She is capable of creating and dissolving many universes. But although she is so powerful, she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as its shadow. It would not have been difficult for Sati to punish her father, but she thought that since she was his daughter It was not proper for her to kill him. Thus, she decided to give up her own body, which she had obtained from his, and Daksha did not even check her. When Sati passed away, giving up her body, the news was conveyed by Narada to Lord Shiva. Narada always carries the news of such events because he knows their import. When Lord Shiva heard that his chaste wife Sati was dead, he naturally became exceedingly angry. He also understood that Bhrigu Muni had created the Rubudeva demigods by uttering the mantras of the Yajurveda, and that these demigods had driven away all of his soldiers who were present in the arena of sacrifice. Therefore, he wanted to reply to this insult, and thus he decided to kill Daksha because he was the cause of the death of Sati. Hare Krishna.
So here, when Lord Shiva heard the news from Avagamya Narada, from Narada Muni, that two things have happened. His dear wife Sati is now dead because of Daksha's insult to her. And second, the soldiers who were sent there as bodyguards to Sati, they are being driven out by the Rubus, which were created by Bhrigu. He became exceedingly angry. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Lord Shiva knew Sati to be the youngest daughter, and being the youngest, she was most dearest to Daksha. And he thought that maybe, Prabhupada writes here, Lord Shiva's purity of purpose was that Sati may bridge the gap between Daksha and himself, Lord Shiva, the misunderstanding. But Sati was deliberately insulted by her father by not properly receiving her, and that became too much for Sati to take. Sati is, who is Sati? Sati is Durga personified, and she could have easily killed Daksha herself. Prabhupada writes in Brahma Samhita, her strength is described as Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rekha. She is extremely powerful, that she can act as creating and dissolving many universes. But still, she subordinates her powers. Chaye vayasya bhuvanani vibharti Durga. But she acts as the shadow energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Krishna's shadow. Chaya, chaye vayasya bhuvanani vibharti Durga. So this is Sati. So it would not have been very difficult for her to punish Daksha, but she decided not to do so, instead to kill herself. And the Sati, when she gave up her body, the news was conveyed by Narada Muni to Lord Shiva. Prabhupada writes here, Narada always carries such news because he knows their import. So Narada Muni is always there around the universe, carrying this important news from one place to another. And when Lord Shiva heard this, death of Sati and his followers being driven away by the Rubus created by Bhrigu Muni, he became exceedingly angry, and thus he decided to kill Daksha Prajapati. Text 2. क्रुद्ध सुदर्होष्टपुटं सधुर्जटीर् जटां तडिद्वह्निशत्रोगरोचितम् उत्कृत्य रुद्रः सहसोत्थितो हसन् गम्भीरनादो विससर्जतां भुवि. Translation.
Translation. Thus Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground. Hare Krishna.
So this is Lord Shiva's reaction. Lord Shiva, so what exactly happened when the news of Sati's death reached to Lord Shiva? This was the reaction of Lord Shiva. Look at the verse, look at the verse only, one can feel the terror in the verse. Kruddha, he became extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth, immediately snatched a bunch of hairs from his head, which were like the electricity or fire. They were hairs of Lord Shiva, right? He stood up at once, laughing like a madman. Gambhira nado, sahaso uttito hasan. Suddenly he got up when he heard the news. Narada is nearby. And Gambhira nado, and he dashed the hair on the ground. So he wanted to create something, and he was laughing like a madman. So this is the extreme anger, agony, and misery in Lord Shiva, and therefore, he is laughing like a madman. So sometimes the extreme misery can give rise to some different emotions. In our, the schools, there was a poem, "Home they brought her warrior dead." Okay, so where this was the story of a Russian soldier who was suddenly died on the battle, and his wife was so stunned that she's unable to react, and that was the poem that "Home they brought her warrior dead." So many times, and therefore one should not be very eager to give the bad news, because what happens is that we are unable to handle the consequences of that news, right? And that's why the classic example, yeah, somebody, what was the classic examples? Who did not give the bad news? Yes, Vidura.
Arjuna?
Vidura.
No.
Vidura, yeah.
Vidura, he did not give the bad news to the Pandavas. Arjuna was going to look in Dwarka what has happened. And all the Pandavas were so anxious, waiting for the news. And suddenly Vidura arrived. He exactly knew what had happened. But he knew that he will be unable to handle the consequences. He will be unable to handle the grief of the Pandavas, Draupadi, Kunti, that, the viyog from the Supreme Lord. And therefore, he did not give that bad news. And this is very important Vaishnava etiquette. Unless you are not authorized, one should not, handle this kind of news. Text 3. Tatotikayas tanuva sprushan divan सहस्रबाहुर्घनरुक् त्रिसूर्यदृक् कला करालदंष्ट्रोज्ज्वलदत् भूमिर्ध्वज कपालमाली विविधोत्यदायुधः. Translation.
A fearful black demon as high as the sky and as bright as three suns combined was thereby created. His teeth were fearful and hairs on his head like burning fire. He had thousands of arms equipped with various weapons, and he is garlanded with the heads of men.
So suddenly, what happened is a fearful black demon as high as the sky and as bright as the three suns. Now, Dakṣa, when he entered the assembly, he was only one sun, right? People felt as if the sun god has entered. Here is like extremely powerful demon was thus being created by anger of Lord Shiva. His teeth very fearful, Karala Damstram. So this Karala Damstram also comes in Bhagavad Gita. And his hair on his head burning like the fire, right? He had thousands of arms, Sahasrabahu, with various weapons, Vividayudha, and he was garlanded with the heads of men. Later, also we are going to hear one more demon like this, who arose from the, from the sacrificial arena, and that is the most celebrated demon of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That is Vritrasura. Very similar, that Vrita, he just began to cover the three directions. The beautiful verse which says, just like the arrows released in four directions, you just imagine the four directions and release the arrows, how the arrows will go in four directions. Similarly, the demon aroused from that yajña done performed by Tvashta, and his body just began to grow in all four directions as if he's going to cover the universe. And therefore, everybody assembled there, they began to say, Avrita, 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 he's going to cover up the universe. And therefore he became Vritrasura. Okay. So Vritrasura is the most celebrated demon of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. His prayers are the most, one of the first 9 cantos, his prayers are considered as the topmost prayers of Vritrasura. Text 4. Tam kim karomiti grinantamaah बद्धाञ्जलिं भगवान् भूतनाथः दक्षं सयज्ञं जहिमद्भ्रतानां त्वमग्रणीं रुद्रं भटां शको मे. Translation.
When that gigantic demon asked with folded hands, "What shall I do, my lord?" Lord Shiva, who is known as Bhutanatha, directly ordered, "Because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice." Purport: here is the beginning of competition between Brahma Tejas and Shiv Tejas. By Brahma Tejas' Brahmanical strength, Bhrigu Muni had created the Bhrigu, uh, Rub, Rub demigods who had driven away the soldiers of Lord Shiva, sanctioned in the arena. When Lord Shiva heard that his soldiers had been driven away, he created the tall black demon Vīrabhadra to retaliate. There is sometimes a competition between the mode of goodness and the mode of ignorance. That is the way of material existence. Even when one is situated in the mode of goodness, there is every possibility that his position will be mixed with or attacked by mode of passion or ignorance. That is the law of material nature. Although pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva is the basic principle in the spiritual world, pure manifestation of goodness is not possible in this material world. Thus, the struggle for existence between different material qualities is always present. This quarrel between Lord Shiva and Bhrigu Muni, centering around Prajapati Daksha, is the practical example of such competition between the different qualitative modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
So this gigantic demon, his name was Vīrabhadra. Tam kim karomi iti granantama. Baddhanjali. He folded his hands and approached Bhagavan Bhutanatha, his master Bhutanath, Lord Shiva, and he said, "My dear sir, what should I do?" Daksham sayajñam jahimat bhatana. And he said, Lord Shiva said, that kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, this is the beginning of competition between Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas. So Brahma Tejas was created by Bhrigu Muni by creating the Rup demigods, and they drove away the soldiers of Lord Shiva who were stationed at the sacrifice to protect Satī. And thus, Lord Shiva was very angry, and thus he created this Vīrabhadra. And Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful commentary here. There is always a competition between the modes of the material nature. Bhagavad Gita also says this. Sometimes the Sattva Guna becomes prominent by pressing Rajoguna and Tamoguna down. Sometimes Rajoguna becomes prominent, and sometimes Tamoguna becomes prominent, pressing the other modes down. And there is a constant competition between these three modes of material nature. And here we can see, Prabhupada says here, even when one is situated in the mode of goodness, there is every possibility that his position will be mixed with or attacked by the modes of passion or ignorance. Right? And that's why, suddenly we may hear somebody has done this, somebody has done that, or, and we may be just wondering. And this is how, in fact, when Srila Prabhupada is writing this purport, during those times in 1971-72, if we can read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit parallelly, one very amazing devotee suddenly left ISKCON. And everybody was shocked. How can he leave? And Prabhupada, of course, wrote to them, and Prabhupada also is writing here, that sometimes the mode of goodness, there is every possibility that the position will be mixed with or attacked by the other two modes. And therefore, the solution is, there is a two-staged solution. One solution is always follow Vaishnava etiquettes. This is the easiest solution to remain in the mode of goodness. However intimate we are, however close we are, however this thing, always follow Vaishnava etiquettes. And the second solution is, which will directly attack the modes of passion and ignorance. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetayetera vidyam sthitam sattve prasidati. When this happens, nityam bhagavata sevaya, which we are doing every day in the morning, sport, right? So when we read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, automatically the mode of goodness and Shuddha Sattva is established in the heart of a devotee. And thus, Rajogun and Tamogun will slowly come down. They will subside by their nature. Srila Prabhupada says that the Shuddha Sattva is very difficult to manifest in the material world. It is a principle of the spiritual world. And therefore, there is always a struggle between these three modes of material nature. And here is the practical example between Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas, or typically the mode of goodness and mode of tamas, going to attack each other. Text 5. आज्ञप्त एवं कुपितेन मन्युना सदेव देवं परिचक्रमे विभुम् मेने तदात्मानमसङ्गरं हसा महीयसां तात सहिष्णुनम्.
Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, that black person was the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was prepared to execute the orders of Lord Shiva. Thus, considering himself capable of coping with any power offered against him, he circumambulated Lord Shiva. Thank you. Bhupsi.
So this black person who arose from the yajña, who arose from the body of Lord Shiva, from the hair strand of Lord Shiva. Later we are going to see another demon is going to arouse from the hair of Durvasa, who was attacking Ambarish Maharaj. Okay, and Ambarish Maharaj completely defeated that demon by just remaining situated at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. But this demon, Vīrabhadra, he was the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, so this is the Vīrabhadra, right? He is Manyuna by Lord Shiva. He was created by Lord Shiva, and he is the personified anger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and prepared to execute the orders of Lord Shiva. Considering himself capable of coping with any power against him, because he is going to come across the power of Bhrugumuni, then he circumambulated Lord Shiva and marched towards the yajña. And this is how section 1. Now we enter the section 2, where it is text 6 to 13, where we are going to see Vīrabhadra raises the dust storm and reach the arena of sacrifice. Text 6. Anviyamana saturudra parshadair brusham nadirved vyadanat susautu bhairavam udyamya shulam jagatantakantakam samradavrat ghoshana bhushanangrihi. Translation.
Many other soldiers of Lord Shiva followed the fierce personality in a tumultuous uproar. He carried a great trident, fearful enough to kill even death, and on his legs he wore bangles which seemed to roar.
Yeah. So the many soldiers followed Lord Shiva. Many soldiers of Lord Shiva followed this great personality. Now they were already very angry with the yajña, already very angry with Dakṣa, but they were driven away by the Rubu demigods, and they needed a leader again to go back and attack. And now they got an extremely powerful leader, that is Vīrabhadra, who was so tall, like the three sun, three Surya Drak. So the fierce personality with tumultuous uproar, there was like a war cry by all these personalities. He carried a great trident, right? Fearful enough even to kill the death personified. Jagadantakantakam. Right? Jagadantakantakam means he is feared by even the death personified. And on his legs, he wore the bangles which seemed to roar. Right? So this is how this Vīrabhadra is taking charge of the attack. So in Ayurveda, so this is input from Parmeshwari, this Vīrabhadra is considered as the Jvara which came to, on the planet Earth. And in Ayurveda, actually, every disease is also considered to be a personality, attacking that patient and capturing that patient. Nothing is impersonal, everything is personality. And even the medicines are also personalities. Okay. Yeah. So, so this Vīrabhadra came here as a Jvara later, and he's This is how it is mentioned here. Text 7. Athartvijo yajaman sadasya krudum yadiksham prasamikshya renum tam kimetat kutaye datojruju diti dvijapatnyascha dadyuhu. Translation.
At
At
that
that time,
time, yes.
at that time, the all persons assembled in the sacrificial arena, the priest, the chief of the sacrificial performance, and the brahmanas and their wives wondered where the darkness was coming from. Later, they could understand that it was a dust storm, and all of them were full of anxiety.
So suddenly in the arena, they could see a huge dust storm and the great darkness that was being covering the sacrificial arena. And all the personalities present there, who all there? The priests were there, the chief of the sacrificial performances. Then there were the brahmanas, their wives, and all of them, they were wondering from where this darkness is coming. And then they realized there is a dust storm, and thus they were in great anxiety that what is going to happen next. They knew something is disastrous is going to happen in this arena. Text 8. वातानवान्ति न हि सन्ति दस्यवः प्राचीनबर्हिर्जीवितं होग्रदण्डः गावो न काल्यन्त इदं कुतो रजो लोकोऽधुना किं प्रलयाय कल्पते. Translation.
Conjecturing on the origin of the storm, they said, "There is no wind blowing, and no cows are passing, nor is it possible that this dust storm could be raised by plunderers, for there is still the strong king Barhi who would punish them. Where is this dust storm blowing from? Is the dissolution of the planet now to occur?" Purport. Specifically significant in this verse is Prachina Barhi Jivati. The king of that part of the land was known as Barhi, and although he was old, he was still living, and he was a very strong ruler. Thus, there was no possibility of an invasion of thieves and plunderers. Indirectly, it is stated here that the thieves, plunderers, rogues, and unwanted population can exist only in a state or kingdom where there is no strong ruler. When in the name of justice thieves are allowed liberty, the state and the kingdom are disturbed by such plunderers and unwanted population. The dust storm created by the soldiers and assistants of Lord Shiva resembled the situation at the time of dissolution of this world. When there is a need for the dissolution of the material creation, this function is conducted by Lord Shiva. Therefore, the situation now created by him resembled the dissolution of the cosmic manifestation.
So now, unable to find the origin of the storm, all of them began to wonder why there is such a great dust storm. A dust storm could happen because of three reasons. Either there is a wind blowing, but there is no wind blowing, or the cows are coming home, Goraja Muhurta, there are no cows which are coming home, or the plunderers, the Dasyuhu plunderers, they are attacking, but there are no plunderers because Prachina Barhi Jivati. There is a great king, Prachina Barhi king, who is still alive. So there is no question of plunderers also. Then, or what is the reason of this great, the dust storm which is coming? Or is the dissolution of the planet is nearby? They all thought of maybe it is Pralaya. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Prachina Barhi Jivati, that the ruler of that land that time was Barhi, and he was a very old ruler, and therefore he was called as Prachina Barhi. Right. Later we are going to see the Prachina Barhi, and how Narad Muni, Prachina Barhi was liberated by Narad Muni and made self-realized personality that will come eventually in the fourth canto. So he was a very strong ruler, and but he was very, very old person, still living. And because he was a very strong ruler, there was no question of invasion by thieves and plunderers. Prabhupada writes here, when in the name of justice, when the thieves are allowed liberty, the state and the kingdom are disturbed by such plunderers and unwanted population. Classic example of this is Nepal Gen Z protest. Just killing outrightly people, just, they, of course, it's not that the ruling party was flawless. They had their own issues. But the people just came on the street, starting burning ministers. Minister's wife, I think Prime Minister's wife or Home Minister's wife was burnt alive by all these rogue Gen Z of Nepal, who were protesting there. And this is in the name of justice, right? So this is the pure wokism. And this is not there when there is a powerful king. And therefore, it is very important to have a powerful king. I mean, we are very, really thankful that we have a Prachina Barhi here also. We have now Modi ji, he's 75 years old. And, long live him, long life to him. Because otherwise, people are just waiting for opportunity that there be such a disturbance in India also. People are, trying to create such a disturbance. But because there is a strong ruler, such a disturbance is not possible. And such disturbance is happening everywhere. Sri Lanka, if you see all the neighboring countries of India, everywhere this has happened. In Pakistan, it happened by, the Imran Khan's party and everything. In Sri Lanka, it happened a couple of years back. They drew away their president. And Nepal, it happened just very recently, 2 months back. Bangladesh, it happened 6-8 months back. And every country around India, it all happening. And things are happening. Venezuela, it's happening. France, it's happening. Paris was on fire. And all this is in the name of justice. Right? London, there are so many cases. And therefore, there is always a requirement of a powerful ruler. And then there is no question of all such rogues and thieves taking to the street in the name of justice. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. There is a small announcement. We are approaching Diwali and Kartik Yatra festival. So, certain date to certain date, we will not be having the sport reading circle. Okay, this is the only occasion in a year when we take a break. Because breaks and we never take a break. But this is the only one occasion where everybody is busy in Yatra and everybody is busy in Kartik and everything. So we take a small break. But let us make up our mind that after the break, okay, so we will have the break from 18th of October to almost like 30th of October. 30th of the October. So 31st October, again, we will join. We will try to complete this chapter before taking a break. And when we complete this chapter, maybe a day here and there. And then we will take a small one break, only take annual break we take in reading. And then we have to resolve to come back. It is very important. Right. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, just a little thought, like when Daksha was insulting Lord Shiva, Brahma was there in that assembly.
No,
He could have
Brahma was
watched.
not there in that assembly. No. Later
Okay.
it will come. Brahma knew that, sacrifice done by such a, the egoistic
Oh, yeah, I
person like
remember.
Daksha, something is going to surely go wrong.
Okay.
And therefore, Brahma and Lord Vishnu, they never attended that sacrifice.
Okay.
This will come later in one of the this thing, it will come that Brahma was not present there. And
Okay.
Brahma, he knew Brahma and Lord Vishnu, both of them were not present.
Okay.
And therefore, that's why the next chapter, if you see, Lord Brahma is going to pacify Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is Ashutosh, anyways, he's Ashutosh, such a great personality. He becomes pacified, he brings back Daksha to life by putting a goat's head, but he lost his wife, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sati is gone. I mean,
My question is, when Brahma knew already before the sacrifice, or even after a sacrifice that Shiva was insulted, etc., he could have probably warned Daksha, the kind of, you should not do
but
these things.
that sacrifice itself, when Daksha was insulting Lord Shiva, he also insulted Brahma, right?
Okay.
He was accusing Brahma that because of this, my father, and he was very derogatory. He was thinking that because of this old, this Brahma, I gave my such a beautiful daughter to this Markatalochana. You see that verses, it has so strongly Daksha is speaking there.
Okay. So
So he's
basically,
very
Brahma refrained
severely offending Lord Shiva, very severely offending his own father.
his own father. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And knowing all this, Lord Brahma was not there in this yajna. And see, whenever we say knowing, nobody knows in the sense that, verbatim what is going to happen the next.
Okay. Okay.
So, right. I mean, even the demigods don't know. That's why when Brahmaji asking, ask for benedictions, he was not aware that Hiranyakashipu is going to ask these benedictions.
Yes, Prabhuji.
It is
That's
only Lord Vishnu who knows the future. Right. And even, we see that Bhasmasur and, all these asuras asking benedictions to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is not aware that, he's going to ask a benediction where you put somebody's on head and his head will be cracked into pieces. He's not aware of those things.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And this we should be very, aware when we approach any Jyotish also. Right. Many times, people approach Jyotish as if they are going to, Lord Vishnu or Lord Brahma himself. And they will be, in great ecstasy by some verdict and will trembling in fear by some verdict. Jyotisha is one thoughtful gaze, one educated guess. That's it. Just trying to make things in our favor, little bit in our favor. But future, practically nobody knows the future, how the future is going to unfold. And because of that uncertainty, life is exciting, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Even Jyotisha doesn't know his own future,
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
right?
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
This one Prabhuji, Prabhu from
Yeah.
I think Madhya Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh, he met Gopal Goswami Maharaj also. Some Baba, I forgot his name. He is like he's known to tell the future kind of. I mean, like kind of their name, their family, their business, all those things when they meet him. Some Bhagavad Baba or something. Young boy, very young, some 20, 30 years old person. I saw him once meeting Gopal Maharaj and Gopal Maharaj said, "ये थोड़ा जादू कम करो करके ऐसा बोला."
Yeah. That is very famous. Maharaj ji told him that, ye jadoo bhi to thoda kam dikhao, make people into devotees, you have influence. And he was sitting at the feet of Maharaj ji.
Yes, Prabhu, that's
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I also saw
so
his video chanting in Hare Krishna Kirtan also. He was participating in some Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan also.
yeah, right. So this is very important. Therefore, in ISKCON, we have such an amazing philosophy, Prabhupada books. We have such amazing personalities who are leading us. We should not be distracted by this Baba, that Baba, some Vrindavan Baba, and some Amma, Mata, Appa, and all respects, with all great respect, I'm taking these names.
Yes.
But the point is that they may be great in their field, but believe it or not, we are being given the best and the foremost, the finest philosophy is with ISKCON,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, and one should have that faith in and in Srila Prabhupada, we are reading in the purport, right? He will, bring back to person to the essence so swiftly. Even Bhagavatam is explaining few other things. Prabhupada will say, yeah, the only yajna in this age is yajna sankirtana pray, again and again.
Yes, Prabhu.
So the most genuine people giving the highest knowledge and being extremely focused. That's what Srila Prabhupada and the mission of ISKCON is. And therefore, one should not dilute oneself with, hearing this Baba, that Baba, and is absolutely not required.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna, thank you.
one small question. This Maharaj, Premanand Maharaj, which sampradaya he belongs to? They say Rasika Sampradaya, they call him.
Yeah, there are many opinions about him. And our Amoglila Prabhu has spoken against him.
Yes.
That created a controversy, and a lot of things are there. So he belongs to some sampradaya, and he is whatever he is following, he must be following greatly. And we offer respects to him, and that's it. We don't follow. Neither we don't
All
fear.
ISKCON leaders are meeting him actually. That is coming in YouTube and other kind of. So
Yeah,
I
ISKCON
don't
leaders will
watch
meet,
them, but I just
they
see the
will meet any
headlines.
influential personality. So,
Okay.
see, fortunately, we are not ISKCON leaders, right? We are simple followers of ISKCON. So we don't have to worry about all these things.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
we have very simple path. Okay, chant 16 rounds, follow regularity principles, read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day, and we just following the basic things is enough for us. ISKCON leaders meet because they have many other things, because sometimes he comes and he obliges devotees by giving some permission for some program here and there, and those internal things we don't know.
Yes,
Like, one day I was so angry at Mamata Banerjee. I mean, so much things are happening against Hindus and this and that. And when I met one devotee, and he was like, he was in Kolkata, and he was such a full of praise for Mamata Banerjee. I was thinking, my God, ye kya hai karke? Then he made a very funny comment. He said that Mamata is bad for Hindus but good for ISKCON. Because she has helped ISKCON in such big way, getting the Prabhupada's land
Prabhupada
back to
birthplace.
ISKCON, and
He donated some
Prabhupada's
crores of money.
birthplace.
Yes,
And not actively donated, but just waiving off some stamp duty and registration and all that. She has helped ISKCON by crores of rupees. And then I came to know that she is being followed. She is being very greatly inspired by Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
Oh.
And she was introduced to Maharaj by Hillary Clinton in the marriage of Anant Ambani. And I was just, chakkar aa gaya mujhe ki, you are against Anant Ambani's marriage, saying that what is this ghastly display of one's opulence, and Maharaj is attending that. And, you are against Mamata Banerjee, and Maharaj is praising Mamata Banerjee. So what happens is that on a higher level, there are many other realities which we are not aware of. So one should not take a very harsh stand against or for somebody when one is not asked. So I have a very simple rule to follow in my life. Any controversy, if it is a local controversy means I'm in Pune. So if it is any Pune controversy kind of a thing, I will not give opinion unless the Pune temple president asks my opinion in writing. And if it is a ISKCON global controversy, I mean, global controversy means, something like this, why he's happening this. I will not give my opinion unless ISKCON GBC asks my opinion in writing. That is never going to happen. So basically means you are getting right. So otherwise, our energy will be lost in, this controversy, that controversy, this and that. And energy is very precious and it should be used very properly. Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Professor.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.